immediately I knew something was wrong because the vibe was just off. Why is sis so mad at me? You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, does she have sons? Like, have I dated one of her sons or something? Like, why are you beefing with me, man? And here's where the fun begins. This is where the true fun begins. Hey guys, my name is Shalonda and welcome back to my channel. Here on the Square Root of Teaching, I like to discuss what it's like to be an educator post-pandemic. So today I have a story time about the first time I got fired as an educator. Yeah, I got fired. So I'm also going to include in that story time my everyday teacher makeup routine, which is what you're seeing right now. I'm excited to have my first story time here on the channel, so just stay tuned. So I'm starting out with a clean face. I've already applied my serum, my moisturizer, and my sunscreen. I've also already have done my brows. For my brows, I use the Kosas brow pencil. It is in the shade Brown Black. So I highly recommend this brow pencil. It's my favorite one. It actually replaced my Anastasia Beverly Hills brow wiz. So yeah, definitely get you one of those. And I have primed my face with Milk of Magnesia just a little bit. I usually go right here in my T-zone, forehead, and my cheek area. And that's about it. So now that that's out of the way, let's get started with my makeup routine and how I got fired for the first time. All right, so I'm gonna go in now with my concealer. Let's get back to that. This is an everyday makeup routine. This is not me going out in the evening. This is not date night. This is none of that. This is just every day in the morning. I gotta be to work by 7:15 a.m. So let me just put something on my face so that I look semi put together. So my concealer that I use is the L'Oreal True Match Super Blend Crayon Concealer. I use the shade medium deep. It says W6, 7, and 8. So again, I have my mirror right here. So I'm from a small town in South Florida. And I actually started teaching at the high school that I graduated from. So after graduation, I graduated in 2009, and if anyone remembers, the economy was doing horribly. So it was a matter of, do I teach or do I work at the prison? Because at that time, so many companies were on a hiring freeze, so I didn't really have a choice in terms of my jobs, because jobs are limited. I'm sorry. The brush that I'm using is you know what? I'm just gonna list all this below and list it on the screen as I use the stuff. So at first it was weird, teaching at my former high school, because I had just been there 4 years prior as a student, and now I'm a teacher there. So my former teachers are now my coworkers. So I was there for 3 years, and I'm not gonna lie, the first year was stressful because, again, I didn't go to school for education. I wasn't planning on that. So I kind of was just like thrown in there, and I wasn't sure if I was doing things correctly. But by the end of the 3rd year, I kind of had a groove going on. And so it was good. It was cool. But I have to be honest, by the end of the 3rd year, I was severely burnt out. And I think that statistics show that normally around the 3rd year is about when teachers usually get stressed out after entering the field. So I was looking to still work in education, but I wanted something that was outside of the classroom. So my high school had a instructional coach position. It was a math coach position, and I applied for it, but I was denied. And the reason being, we're gonna save that for another story time. But I didn't get the position, and I was like, I really don't want to come back to the classroom next year, so I got to keep looking for something else. So at the nearby elementary school, there was the very same position available. And so I applied for that, and then I was able to get one of my administrators to actually give me a glowing letter of recommendation. They didn't falsify anything. I was really on top of my stuff, at the beginning of my teaching career. And so after going through the interview process and everything, I got the job. So I know I'm spending a lot of time blending this out, but blending is very important. So I'm not gonna lie, when I first started the position at the elementary school as a math coach, I was not well received. Okay, let me give you a little background. A math coach in my school district is someone that works primarily with teachers. In this position, I did work with students as well, but primarily my job was to work with teachers, math teachers, and I helped them to create better strategies for, closing the gap, achievement gaps of their students, and to keep students engaged in the material and things of that nature. So at the time, I think I was about 25 years old. Again, I'm from a small town, so most of the people knew me, they knew my family, and they knew I just graduated 3 years ago. So their thing was, how did you get this position? But listen, I was an elementary math coach. I was not a high school math coach. I wasn't a college math coach. You know what I'm saying? Like, elementary school is adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. So now that I've blended the concealer, again, every day work routine, I do not wear foundation. I actually wear powder, and I use the L'Oreal True Match. I'm in the shade W7, caramel beige. And so again, this is simple makeup routine. And then I like to use the e.l.f. powder brush. At the end of my first year as a math coach, we went from a school proficiency of 13% to 31%. Yeah, in 1 year. And that was based on the test scores of grades 3, 4, and 5. And I have to be honest, I spent the majority of my time in the 4th grade wing. They were the most receptive of me, and they were willing to basically hear out any of my ideas. And because they were so receptive, we were able to try so many different things and see what really worked and what didn't work. And 4th grade really carried the load that year in terms of math games. Okay, I'm actually gonna go back in with my concealer because I feel like there's a few spots I could use just a little bit more. Now, I'm gonna be honest, it was a while ago. I don't quite remember the proficiency of science and reading, but I do know that math kind of took the cake that year. So yeah, I was very proud of the math department. I was very proud of myself because, again, people didn't really think I was capable of making a difference. And if it's one thing I know, it's numbers. Like, I know numbers. I'm gonna toot my own horn, but I know numbers. So now we're at the start of my 2nd year as a math coach. We're in August 2013, and my principal, the one that hired me, he actually got promoted and he was moved to another school, and we were replaced with, I believe she was a first-time principal. We're gonna call her Miss F. Okay, we're gonna call her Miss F. Miss F came in with a vengeance. Okay, she made her presence known from day one, that this was basically her show, and whatever she says goes, and we were not to question that. So it's quite different from my former principal because he was very much into, we're a family, We're all in this together. Everyone's voices matter. So to now have this like drill sergeant, it was different. I'm gonna actually blend this out just a little more. Okay, so now we're about mid-September of the new school year, and one day I come into work and the school's secretary, she has this look on her face that I was kind of concerned. I was like, what? Something must be going on because she's always smiling, she's always cheerful. But that morning when I walked in, I knew something was up. So she goes, Miss O'Neill, later this morning, Miss Elf would like to meet with you in her office. And so I was like, great. I was like, do you know what this is concerning? And she was like, no, I'm not quite sure. But I could kind of tell from the look on her face, she kind of did know what was going on, but she didn't want to say it out loud because, again, there are other teachers coming in. We had, a few students sitting there, and, I was just like, okay, no problem. So later on that morning, I go to the meeting, and immediately I knew something was wrong because the vibe was just off or whatever. I'm gonna actually contour now. I use the Black Radiance True Complexion Contour Palette. Sorry, I'm reading the back. And I use the shade light to medium. I like to mix these two shades. One's a little bit more red, one's a little bit more neutral, and I feel like together they just look really nice. And the brush I'm going to use for that is the e.l.f. Angle Blush Brush. I use this to contour, and it's not really a contour. It's really just me like warming up the perimeter. Well, warming up the perimeter of my face is contouring, right? But it's not a very harsh contour. So back to the store. So now I'm in Miss Elf's office, and she goes straight into it. Like there's no beating around the bush. There's no, hey, how you been? None of that. She goes, based on your performance last school year, I thought it was best if we remove you from your math coach position. What? Remove me from my position? So of course I'm like so confused at this point. So I asked her what was wrong with my performance last year. We went from a 13% math proficiency to 31%. And for her, she said that that wasn't enough. Okay. Okay. So it's very customary that when a school gets a new principal, that principal can bring on their own team. They can bring their own assistant principal. They can bring on, their own set of teachers. I figure, okay, maybe she's just replacing the entire instructional coaching team. So I asked, okay, if you're getting rid of me as the math coach, are you also going to get rid of the current science and science and reading coach? Again, I wasn't trying to throw my coworkers under the bus. I'm just trying to get an understanding that if I'm being removed from my instructional position and I was the highest performing department last year, you got to be getting rid of all of us then. And she goes, nope. The reading coach is staying. The science coach is staying. I'm just getting rid of you. All right, so I'm not gonna do my chin area because, like I said, most of the time I'm wearing my mask at work, and plus, I don't know, I kind of don't like how that looks. I'm gonna go in now with my translucent powder. It's Laura Mercier Translucent Honey, and I'm just gonna go underneath my eyes and the bridge of my nose, basically everywhere I put the concealer. And I'm not gonna let it bake or anything of that nature. I'm just gonna put it on and then kind of blend it out. And for that, I'm going to be using the Real Technique setting brush. It's number 402. And at this point, I'm trying to hold back tears because I'm just not getting it. You know what I mean? Like, my first year as a math coach, I think I did really, really well. And for this new principal to come in and basically tell me that what I did wasn't enough, and although that my scores were higher than the other two departments, she was just going to remove me from my position. It just didn't make sense to me. So I was just kind of like, what's the real reason, sis? Like, what's tea? And of course, she really didn't have a reason. She was just kind of like, we felt like we could have done better in math. And so she was going to put me back in the classroom. Now, y'all, I had never taught at an elementary school. I mean, let's be honest, this is literally my at that time, that was my 5th year in education. It was never in my plans to teach elementary. But she made me aware of the fact that because of this change, that I was still able to apply for another teaching position, because in our district we have what's called a voluntary transfer period. And basically in that time you can apply and interview at other schools, and you can kind of move around without needing to get permission from your principal to leave, or having to go through the district if there's some type of special circumstance where you have to kind of like break your contract. But when she told me this, we were literally like 2 days away from the end of the voluntary transfer period. Again, I'm from a small town, so where was I gonna find a job at another school in this small city 2 days before the end of the voluntary transfer period? She basically set me up. She was making it to where it was almost impossible for me to find another job. So did I look for another job? Of course I did. Were there any jobs available? No, there were not. There were jobs available in the other part of our district. It's kind of like a 45-minute drive in between that hometown and like the rest of the county. And at that time, I was not ready to drive or commute 45 minutes morning and afternoon to a teaching job, because again, teaching was really never in my deck of cards. So at this point, I am boxing up all of my things out of my office, and I'm moving now into my new 5th grade math and science class. And here's where the fun begins. This is where the true fun begins. So at the time, I was only certified to teach mathematics grades 5 through 9, which was cool because again, grade 5 is considered elementary, and I was good on that end. But that particular school, grades 3, 4, and 5, the teachers would create like these pods. It'll be like 3 or 4 teachers in a pod, and they would take all of the subjects that you teach in child and elementary, math, reading, science, I think writing was a subject. I think they did health. Like there were multiple subjects, right, that the pod would have. And so they would split it up among those 3 or 4 teachers, so that way you only taught 2 or 3 subjects. So the school that I was at, that elementary school, was low performing. And at that period of time, they were not allowing teachers to teach out of field. And what does it mean to be out of field? So you get certified in whatever subject you're going to teach, and as long as you're certified in one subject, sometimes the district will allow you to teach another subject even though you haven't passed the certification for that test, because you've already shown that you're able to pass a certification test in another subject. It's just maybe a timing situation. But again, because of the performance of that school at that time, they weren't allowing teachers to teach outside of their certification. So I'm not certified in 5th grade science or elementary science, period. Right? And so that caused a big disruption with not only our school, but the district got involved. I'm gonna take my liner. This is the Wet n Wild Mega Slim Skinny Tip Eyeliner. And of course, it's in the color black. So I'm not certified in elementary education. So I really shouldn't be teaching elementary at all. So what Miss F had to end up doing is basically taking my science blocks and giving them to the other teachers in my pod. So now we have these teachers, the other two teachers in my pod, they're having to take on another subject, and it's eating into their planning time. So of course the teachers are mad, because who wants to teach an extra subject that you hadn't planned on teaching, because that wasn't discussed? And you know what happens when my students are with someone else for science? I now have more free time. So it looks like I'm only coming to work and teaching like, I don't know, like a third or like a half of the time that I really should be teaching. You showing out today? Eyeliner don't want to line my eyes. So eventually, I would say within 2 days of all of this mess coming to a head with like me not being able to teach the science blocks to the kids, Miss F decides that she's going to start giving me these random teacher duties, so that way I'm not just sitting in my classroom planning, cleaning, or whatever. I was really applying for other jobs. That's what I was really doing, like outside education, because I was just so fed up at that point. I just felt like if I could be removed from my job, even though my performance was great, I was like, I might as well be in corporate America. I really don't care that we're going through a recession and jobs are scarce. At this point, I don't want no parts of it, because this is just as unfair as corporate America would be to me. And y'all, during this time, like, I think I'm getting distracted by putting on my makeup, but like, I cried like every day, every single day of going to work, because it was just rough. Like, every day my coworkers, one or two of them would like stop by my classroom and give me like words of encouragement, because you could kind of tell that Miss F had an issue with me, and no one kind of could understand it. Like, I had never met this woman a day in my life. I even asked my family, I was like, do we know her? Like, do we know her people? Like, did somebody in the family do something to her people? Like, why is sis so mad at me? You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, does she have sons? Like, have I dated one of her sons or something? Like, why are you beefing with me, man? And yeah, we couldn't figure out at the time why she was just so hell-bent on like making my life miserable. So again, the random duties that she would put me on, which is, to be honest, I can't even tell you like the things that she made me do. They were really random. And I remember always calling our area office and be like, am I supposed to be doing this? Because like, this just doesn't sound right. And basically the response that I got from them was that in our contract it says duties as assigned. So as long as she wasn't asking me to mop, sweep, or cook, that I kind of had to say yes to it. Well, I would say I've been teaching 5th grade math now for about a month. Yeah, because she removes me mid-September, and around mid-October, I remember receiving a phone call and I won't say her name, but it was the principal of a local middle school. She had a math teacher that was going to replace one of the social studies teacher, because the social study teacher decided that they no longer wanted to teach out in our area, and so they were leaving to go back and teach somewhere else in the county. Now she has an open math position. And again, not that I'm like that important, but again, when you're in a small town, when crazy things are going on inside of the schools, like everyone knows about it. And so she was aware of what had been done to me, and she called me and basically offered me a position. She was like, I can bring you in tomorrow. Tomorrow? Tomorrow. She said, yes, you can come in tomorrow. Oh, wow. The sun is like doing the most right now. So when she said that I could come in tomorrow and like start the job tomorrow, I was so confused. I was like, wait, so don't I have to like fill out paperwork? Don't I like, what about like my things? Like, how is this all gonna work? Like, do I have to go to the principal and get permission? Because again, this is outside now, a voluntary transfer. And so she was like, nope. She was like, I'm gonna take care of all the paperwork between herself, the principal of the middle school, and the area office, and then the district office. They were all gonna help me out. So basically, she just told me spend the rest of the day teaching as normal. And she was like, when you get off the phone with me, call your aunt, call your uncle, and ask them if they could just come after school and help you box up your stuff and move everything. She was like, you can literally leave, and like today's your last day. You don't have to say anything to anyone. You don't have to tell anyone where you're going. She was like, this is it. Like, if you say yes, you want to come, then you're free. Y'all. I literally felt like my mom was looking down on me, and like she made that happen. Because what are the odds that almost in the middle of the first semester a math position opens up in our small town? Yes, it's at a middle school, and again, middle school was also not a part of my plans, but anything to get away from Miss F, because I'm not going into too much detail. One, because I really don't remember all the things that she put me through, because it's been a long time, but I just remember just being so depressed during that time. I just remember being so like on edge at work. I had never, like even now in my 14th year of teaching, I've never had someone do so many observations, like surprise observations in my classroom. Like the lady was in my class like every other day, looking for something to be wrong. And so to now be told that, you know, today's your last day, you're done with this. I called my aunt and uncle. My aunt and uncle actually went, I don't know where they went. They went somewhere, they got me some boxes. And I think I did tell my assistant principal that I was leaving, because she and I were cool like that. And she was able to give me a couple of boxes. Like I had a mini fridge and I had a microwave. But at the end of the school day, I remember just throwing everything that I could. And some things I actually left, like construction paper, scissors, glue. I was like, y'all can keep all of that. I don't want it. And I remember being afraid to walk out of school at the end of the day, like, you know, dragging all my boxes and like this, my fridge and my microwave out to the front parking lot, because people were gonna know that I was leaving. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna curl my lashes real quick. I'm gonna use my Tarte eyelash curler. I've had this for so long, I don't even know if this is still available. Is Tarte still a thing? And before we made the walk down the hallway to the parking lot, I actually walked out to the parking lot to see if my principal was like still on campus. And luckily she had left for the day. All right, so now that my lashes are curled, I'm gonna go in with, I usually use 2 mascaras. I'm never like too picky about what 2 mascaras I'm gonna use, but I never use just one. It's always 2. So I have the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara, and then I have the YSL Lash Clash. And I think I'm gonna use this as the base today, because I usually use this one as my base, but for the video I'm gonna try something different. So we drag all my stuff out to the front. We put it in the back of my uncle's F-150, and I was out of there. Y'all, out of there. I didn't get to say goodbye to anyone. I didn't get to like say goodbye to the students, which kind of made me feel bad because I felt like I kind of deserted the kids. But to be honest, the kids didn't really like Miss F either. So I think everyone kind of expected me to leave. I don't know. God was really looking out for me in that situation, because I was so prepared to be homeless and just quit the job and work at McDonald's or something, because it was crazy to be that miserable every single day. It was enough to like really do something to your mental health. And so once I left the school, I did get a few emails from my coworkers at that school like, hey, you know, we heard that you left. We're glad that, you know, you're happy now, that you're in a more, I don't want to say safe environment, but maybe I should. I wasn't being physically harmed, but like mentally I was being harassed by her a lot. After I moved to the middle school, or transferred to the middle school, I finally found the reason why Miss F decided to remove me from my position as a math coach. It had nothing to do with my performance. Remember I told you guys earlier that a principal can, when they come to a new school, they can bring like their own set of people. Well, Miss F had it in her mind that she was going to bring on her friend who was a math teacher, elementary math teacher. And her friend wanted to be not only a math coach, but she also wanted to work with Miss F because that's her friend. And you would think, okay, cool. You know the reason why you were taken out of your position, and you know you're in a better place now. You would think, okay, they should leave you alone. Nope. Miss F's friend, who became the new instructional coach, like I didn't really know her like that. She's in my position. She decided she's going to be trying to add me on social media. And this was, like I said, this is back in 2013. So I think I was only really active on Facebook. I don't know if MySpace still existed at that point, but I just remember like Miss F's friend, again, the new math, let's call her Miss S. You know how Facebook, somebody sends you a friend request, you delete it, and then like I guess you'll reappear in their people you may know section on Facebook. So every time I would delete her friend request, she would send another one. And I know you're probably thinking, why won't you accept her friend request? You took my job, and like you're older than me. Like you're old enough to be my mom. So like why would I be friends with you on Facebook? Like I don't know you like that. Like we've never really had a conversation. And I was actually paranoid that they were like trying to, I don't know, dig up something on me to like get me in trouble in my new school. Because I just felt like, why do you want to be my friend on social media? Like just leave me alone. She kept trying to be my friend for like a good 6 months, because I just remember I remember I just kept deleting the friend request, and it would just pop back up like every time I logged into Facebook. So I'm gonna add blush. I have the Milani Tea Rose powder blush. Eventually, I think she got the hint. And she left me alone for a while, like not forever, because she eventually did start sending the friend request again. But I need lip gloss. So for lips, I like to use this is MAC's Creamy Your Coffee. And so I just apply a little bit of this. And then I go in with whatever lip gloss I have in my bag. Right now I have the Be Simone Beauty lip gloss. This is the confetti lip gloss. While I'm waiting for my mascara to dry, because I always go back in and recurl my lashes after I apply the mascara, but I have to let it really dry. So so yeah, some people would say that oh, you didn't really get fired, you were transferred to another position. No, baby, I was fired because I went to that school to be an elementary math coach. I didn't go to the elementary school to be a teacher. That situation really opened my eyes to the fact that I thought that, okay, I'm being thrown into education because it's kind of hard to find a job right now in corporate America, that it was like the safer route to go. But it taught me that nothing in life is safe, that as long as you're dealing with people, that you're always at risk of like being treated unfairly, to have something like no job is safe. Let me just say that. And it also tested my faith as a Christian, because I didn't understand how someone could be just so evil in a way, like, because the way she just went about things, it was unnecessary. It was because there was a lot of attitude behind the scenes. There was a lot of speaking to me in a way as though like, yes, you're old enough to be my mom, but you're my principal, you're my supervisor. You shouldn't speak to me as though like I'm a child and you're the adult. There were times where she would address me in front of not just other teachers, but other staff members, and even in front of my own students. Like, there were times where she would speak to me in a manner that my students would kind of be like, you know, damn, sis. Like, and they're in the 5th grade. So you already know, if the babies know that it's wrong, then of course it's wrong. And I'm so grateful to the principal of the middle school. She's retired now. She actually retired after she brought me on, which was crazy. Like, I think she was there for like another month or two, and she ended up retiring. But I'm so grateful and I'm so indebted to her for just, she rescued me. She was like literally my fairy godmother, and she rescued me from my evil stepmother. I actually saw her a couple of years ago, and I thanked her again. Like, I was near tears because I just remember how much mental anguish I was in under the leadership of Miss F. And to have someone say, come on over here, teach here, you'll be safe. I really appreciated that. So for any of the teachers out there, and again, I'm going to just speak for Florida, and more so my county, because again, I know every county is kind of different. When you step outside of the classroom, your principal can kind of do as they please. They can put you wherever they see fit, regardless of what you're comfortable with, what you're capable of, even what you're certified to actually teach. They kind of have the last say so. And I think I'm at my 6th school now. And Miss F is just the only principal that just really deterred me from wanting to go back into education. Like every other principal I've ever had, for the most part, they were very nice, cordial, professional, but Miss F was not. She just wasn't. She didn't end up staying at the school, at the elementary school, too much longer. I think they transferred her to an alternative school, and as of today, I'm not sure where she is. Whose life is she ruining right now? Okay, so I'm gonna go in now. I think my mascara is as dry as it's gonna be. I'm gonna go in and I'm going to curl these lashes once more, and I'm being real gentle right at the base. And I don't know, can you kind of see a difference between this eye and this eye? All right, guys, that is it. Thank you so much for staying to the end of this video, and I really appreciate all your support. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at the square root of teaching. I'll leave all of that in the description box below. Okay, so I wanted to show you like the final makeup look as well up close. So yeah, I keep it pretty simple, but this is my everyday teacher makeup routine. And again, thank you so much for staying tuned for my story time. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.